site plan, subdivision, and structural adjustment, and use permit for development, 35 Railroad Street, proposed by CC Railroad Newmarket LLC. Requesting approval for boundary line adjustment, site plan review, and special use permit for 11,000 square foot mixed-use 3-story building comprising of 41 bedroom apartments and 2,500 square feet of commercial space. Associated utilities, parking facilities located on the property 273 Railroad Street, tax map U3, lot 138A, 5 Railroad Street, tax map U4, lot 16, M2A and R2 zoning districts. So I guess what we'll do is just some introductions, so everyone knows each other, and then after that we'll present the project, and then we'll just go through comments on there. Everyone good with that? Sounds great. So Eric, you want to start off?
Yes, hi, I'm Eric Rodman, I'm the chairman of the planning board.
Jeff, you there?
Yep.
You want to introduce yourself?
Jeff Goldnoff, Newmarket Planning Board. I am at home and I am alone.
Great. I'm Byron Dunn, Planning Director.
I'm Abigail Bachman, member of the planning board.
Sean Gregg, Environmental Services Director.
Lindsay Butler, Newmarket Town Engineer.
Rick Molesky, Fire Chief and Public Works.
Greg Jordan, Police Chief.
Allison Reese, Underwood Engineers.
I'm Max Stephens. I'm counsel for the developer.
I'm Ben Stephens,
I'm Ryan Hudock with Horizons, civil engineer.
Adam Morrill, and I'm project manager working with Ken Byrne, who will be our public architect.
Great. So I think when you guys are speaking, just go up to the mic. Actually, you can pass them around. So don't have to actually sit up there. So great. Welcome. Thank you, everyone. So I'll just ask, Alfie, just give a rundown of the project.
Go ahead.
Okay, again, I'm Brian Hudock with Horizons Engineering. So, yeah, thank you for the introduction. So, just quick recap. Effectively, we are proposing one new 3-story building that will have 41 one-bedroom apartment units and commercial space on the first floor. The commercial space will be used for the Horizons Engineering office that is currently operating out of the existing building on the property, the existing office building. So on the as part of the development, the existing brick building will be removed in favor of the new building and parking area. So I think it's a very well thought out plan to kind of optimize the space and account for all the various considerations. So we are compliant with all applicable zoning regs. There were previously approved variances in place to allow for the proposed density and number of parking spaces. And we are, as part of this, we are requesting a special use permit to allow mixed use within the M2A zoning district. And the special use permit has specific criteria, and I think we pretty well meet those criteria with like our fiscal impact analysis, our market analysis, and the two other criteria, which is the parking and density. So I think it'd be an overall benefit to the community from those standpoints. Kind of from a site design standpoint, we try to best work with the existing topography. So the building, while it is 3 stories, it's much lower than the surrounding roadway there on Main Street and on the upper part of Railroad Street. Some of the architectural renderings kind of show that a little more visually. And then we also try to be thoughtful with how we orient the parking and the site design, and we've done outreach with the abutting property owners. And one of the comments, for example, was the reason that the drive approach is kind of angled like that was to reduce off-site light pollution onto the abutters properties. And then from a kind of an engineering standpoint, one of our main objectives here was to reduce any off-site runoff to Moonlight Brook because of the its proneness to flooding, and we understand that there's been some significant flooding events there in the past. So our underground stormwater system is oversized basically to reduce the runoff from currently existing conditions. So it's actually an improvement from what's there today. So we're capturing the additional impervious area, and we're also, reducing the overall runoff for the 2, 10, and 50-year events. So that was one of the key things we tried to accomplish with this. And given the site constraints, or the spatial constraints, that's why we went with the underground system. Also, it's less of a visual, less visual impact there. So yeah, it's kind of the high-level summary, and we're connecting services, water and sewer there on Railroad Street. Understand there's adequate capacity to support that, and if there's any questions for you.
Yeah, so if you have any civil questions, we'll get to that with Ryan. A couple things that changed. We met with a couple of the neighbors Monday night. On the landscape plans, you'll see right here is called out for lilacs. They asked that we switch to arborvitae. So that will be updated when we go to the actual planning board meeting. This will be changed to arborvitae. One other thing to note is on the updated plans, you will see a dumpster pad right here that will be fenced in. We found, and it's going to be rolling cans for right there. And then Adam can talk to you a little bit more about the design.
Thank you. If you go to the,
elevations?
you can go to the floor plans first. They should be the first architectural exhibit. Perfect. So on this overall floor plan, you can see we have our first floor and second floor, which is typical of the third floor as well, plan. On our first floor, we have three primary entry points on this building. No worries. One being on the parking lot side for the residential primary entrance. The commercial space will be accessed off of Railroad, and then our stair tower has an access point to the upper level of South Main Street. The idea being that this building has easy pedestrian access to downtown, knowing that parking is sometimes an issue. It was important to us to provide a stairwell access for residents to have a shorter walking distance to downtown, while primary vehicular access would be from the parking lot. So people, visitors and things like that, obviously would be using the front door, but for convenience, there's a second access point on South Main Street. Our commercial space has its primary entrance, as well as it has shared egress through the stair that accesses South Main Street. So the commercial space will go from its lower level up 1/2 light and then out to the South Main Street side. On the upper floor, it's purely residential units with utility space. Our first floor has a utility space, which will likely be the water room with secondary electrical room in that space, accessed directly from the exterior. We'll be working with a sprinkler engineer and mechanical engineers and electrical engineers to further size those components, but that's where the allocated space is.
First floor utility will be the riser room, electrical, mechanical.
Yeah, separated as required, but yes. Then you can continue to the next page. So as far as the architectural design of the exterior, as we had mentioned, South Main Street obviously being upgrade, we're trying to present we've pushed the building into the hill so that on the South Main Street side, we're consistent with the lower building heights along that avenue. And then as we work our way down the hill, the building, the lower level becomes revealed into a full first floor here. Here's the prominent entry for the commercial space off of Railroad Street. This is the two-story access point for the stairwell to South Main Street. A predominant residence.
It's downstairs. Yeah, I will tell them so.
Who is that?
It's downstairs. They're in the control room.
The media guy. Sounds like Tim's voice.
I'll just.
Can we talk about fire protection real quick?
Yeah.
So I know you're gonna be bringing in a new feed from the street for all that, and it's 6-inch. The current fire hydrant's right at the very beginning on the opposite side. So the minute we tag that, due to the size of that building and everything, if there was an incident there, we lose access to come in. We can't go over that. Could you add a hydrant to that line on this side of the road in front of the building by the sidewalk?
Yeah, that's.
It's a it's the setup there. It's not really gonna work for access.
Sorry, I'm just. So I think you're saying where the line comes under the street.
Where you're proposing that 6-inch line to come in,
Yeah.
on your side of the street, when you run that line, just add a hydrant.
Yep. Yeah, and I'm sure you have a symmetrical hydrant.
Sean does.
Okay.
Yeah, but you can't tag a hydrant off that fire line.
If we were to do a fire department connection on the building outside of the sprinkler room, would that?
Well, we're gonna have our connection there, but we have to,
Okay.
the hydrant we need to tag is literally at the stop sign, but across the street. And your building's on the other side, so,
Can we
We-
shift to the civil plan?
We'll have to look at
Yeah,
that.
so it'd just be a new service off the main to a new hydrant.
you're running the line already, you just put a T there
Put another.
and
I don't think if we can do
Yeah.
that.
add a,
We may have to
Yeah,
look
they'd
at
be
that.
right next to each other.
Off to the service, yeah.
Right.
Off to the fire
Oh,
service, we
oh.
can't do that. Because that's one thing I brought.
it's a
looked at.
dedicated line.
Yeah, it's a
Right.
dedicated line, and one of the other issues I saw is you actually ran your water service off that line. And you have to run a separate water service. So the water service actually has to come off the main, have a shut off at the property line, and then run to the building. It looked to me like you had it coming actually off the fire line, the water service. It was 2-inch. Yeah.
Well,
if we can just
Yeah.
architectural and then we'll get.
Yeah,
Yeah,
sorry,
that's
I
fine,
just,
yeah.
well, we had the
Yeah.
lull in.
Yeah,
Our understanding was to be a single 6-inch to the building that would manifolds for fire, and then,
Right, that's
what
our last plan was,
yeah,
what that was approved.
yeah. That was,
Yeah, I know.
so I mean,
Yes, you can't, that fire line has to be dedicated for the sprinklers. So you can't tag off it.
Architecturally, our primary entrances have a similar language with a hierarchy of the primary entrances and then the pedestrian entrances being scaled differently. The rear of our building, which would be the railroad side, has a similar architectural language as the balance of the building, with the idea that this building will be visible on all sides. However, there isn't a primary entrance on this side, so it doesn't incorporate the exact same features that our entrances include. So, and then if you have any other architectural questions, we'd be happy to answer them.
And that main entrance from the commercial side is gonna go out towards your driveway for access.
Correct.
I guess we'll start in the room. While we're on the topic of water, so we'll keep on having that conversation.
This is our
Yeah, so history on this side, we originally had a 8-unit approved here, and we were going with the same water sewer setup that was previously approved, but if you prefer having two water lines come in,
It has to.
Okay.
It has
Yep,
to.
that's not a problem. We can get
Yeah.
that revision
Yeah.
done really easily.
Yeah, that's pretty simple.
The fire line has to be dedicated to the sprinklers, and that's it.
Exactly, yeah.
And that's the problem, if you run a hydrant off it, you're drawing water, and water may not be getting to the sprinklers.
So with the discussion of moving adding a fire hydrant, we are gonna be adding, a new walkway all the way up here. So, I mean, we're more than welcome to work with the town while this is all dug up. It might be a good time for the town to add additional water lines down if they want to. Because we're bringing this walkway all the way up to this corner, so it'd be right across the street. This is gonna be all dug up.
See, your sidewalk is at the curb line?
We're bringing the sidewalk all the way up to South Main Street right here.
From your driveway,
Yep, it comes all the way down to our driveway.
along the paved road?
Correct. Yep. So it might be a good time while all that's happening to add something like
I have a
that.
question about that sidewalk, if you guys want to talk about it now.
Sure, that's fine, Jeff.
It appears that it's fully outside of the existing guardrail, so it extended the existing street some. And I don't see how it ties into the existing sidewalk up on South Main Street. So I didn't know if it is taking up part of the existing road there, so I didn't know if the DPW that was there. And if you guys would show how it actually ties into the sidewalk crosswalk up there.
Everyone hear that?
I cannot hear him.
So the question was, how's it tied into the existing sidewalk, the proposed one, to the existing?
On
On
South
South
Main
Main,
Street.
right.
I'm assuming
Yeah,
that there's a
it
tip
sticks
down.
well out, I don't know if it's hard to hear me, but it sticks well out into the existing pavement, I believe, because it's all outside of the guardrail. It's extremely close to the curb line there. So and it looks like the guardrail's not moving, and the sidewalk's going outside of it.
Yeah, no, that's a great observation. I think that's, our intent isn't to encroach onto the existing pavement. I think it was just a drafting oversight, perhaps. So we're basically going to stay, right along, right just outside the existing roadway. So we can certainly revise the plans to kind of clean that up and show that a little more clear. So yeah, that's our intent. And I apologize. I think it's just a drafting. Something came up with the drafting, I guess, now that I'm looking at it. So, yeah, good observation, though. We'll address that.
And on that sidewalk and crossing, there is existing sidewalk on both sides of South Main Street, so we don't necessarily need a crosswalk, but I've seen a lot of kids from the high school walking through there. So
Yeah.
a crosswalk to connect that sidewalk from Railroad Street across to the other side may be helpful. We don't have a tip down there, so something to discuss further and maybe vet. And keeping the sidewalk outside of the edge of pavement, looks like there will be some required resetting of the guardrail there as well, around the curve.
Yeah, and we'd be happy to strike that for crosswalks. I think the best way I've seen that done is the town gives us a budget, what it costs, and put it in the town scope instead of us doing it, so it meets all the town standards, if that's something they'd be able to do.
That's a granite curb sidewalk, correct?
Yeah, that's what's required per regulation.
Yeah. I didn't know if you were asking for a waiver or anything like that.
No.
So Jeff, while you're there, you have any other observations or comments?
I I do in other parts of the site, but I didn't know if you guys want to stick to what we were already working on and in the areas we're discussing now.
Yeah, so I guess any other, so we'll start with water and sewer, so Sean, any other water and sewer questions?
The only thing I didn't see on the plans was how, it says you're booting and going into the existing manhole, but how are you actually, is there a drop going in there? I'm not sure, there was no listing of elevations.
And there was no information at all about the existing
Because,
utilities in the road.
because,
Water, sewer, drainage, you don't even show the pipes.
yeah.
Right.
So my question is how are you gonna tie into that manhole besides just booting it, and dropping it in?
Yeah, that's a good point. Let me investigate that a little further. I think it's been a while. I think let me just double check the as-built of the existing.
What I'd like to see is how you're gonna come in, what the elevations
Yeah.
are, if it's a drop, however it's gonna go in.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah, we can add that, yeah, because currently it's just a 2D layout, so yeah, we
Yep.
can add those inverts to.
Yep.
To everything. And it will, because we're proposing the new manhole, we know that the state sewer connection permit will be required, so we anticipate that being, a condition of approval, so we're gonna have to.
Yeah, you have the inverts for that one in your plan,
Yeah,
but not the one you're tying
yeah,
into.
that's the new one, so.
Yep,
Yeah, let me verify that.
Okay.
Good, we can certainly add that to the plan and make sure it works well.
Allison, do you have any other kind of water and sewer?
I actually, we didn't look at water sewer
Okay.
much because we didn't have any existing information.
Yeah.
We don't even
Yeah,
know
right.
the size of the water main there
Gotcha.
or
Okay.
what it's made of, nothing.
Okay.
So,
All right, so water and sewer. Yeah, Eric?
I have a question on the water.
Yeah.
Just a general question, and I don't know whether Sean knows the answer to this or not. Has there been a fire flow test done or anything there so that we know there's adequate water and pressure?
we actually just finished a water model, so I believe there's more than enough water there. I believe that is I don't believe that main is that old. But that's something we have to do anyway, as part of this process, as part of putting in the fire. We actually have to flow a hydrant. They actually have to have somebody come out and do that.
Yeah, I remember our last time we went through this, you said that there's tons of water
Yep,
pressure
yep.
on that road because it's a new pipe.
Yep.
So it's really
But we
still have to, yep.
we're still gonna have to open up that hydrant, and you guys are required to do a flow test as part of this.
Yeah.
So that's required, Eric.
Okay, all right, perfect, thank you.
Yep.
So I guess, Allison, we'll start with do some comments, moving on from utilities.
I do have, I'm not gonna address anything minor.
Yeah.
I have like label this and label
Yeah,
that type of
that's
thing. The name of the applicant doesn't match, stuff like that. Things like that are missing. One thing I wasn't clear on, the past submission, the lots were not going to be merged. Is that the same case now? Are they still two separate lots?
Yeah, they are currently still two separate lots, and part of our proposal is merging them because the development spans both lots, and we're in the midst of executing that lot merger, and we have I know you haven't seen a survey drawing of that, but we're working on one, and we just need to finalize it and have our surveyor certify it. But that is part of it, and we understand that would be condition, approvals.
We're not gonna
Okay.
we're not gonna merge them if the project doesn't go through. So it's gonna be a condition of the approval.
Yeah.
Gotcha.
If the project doesn't go through, we don't want to have Oak Ridge we just created. Yeah.
Right, okay. There is no legend on the sheets. It's not required, but a demolition or a site preparation plan would certainly be helpful. Also, a plan, even even if it's separate, not part of the plan set, that shows truck turning movements for emergency vehicles. Like I mentioned, we're missing existing utility information, missing sewer design calculations, but as you noted, you need to do that anyway for the sewer connection permit. I didn't see a stormwater I&M plan, and one other piece of missing information, which is probably not ready yet, is there's grading on an abutting lot, and there would need to be some sort of agreement, documentation, temporary easement, something for that grading of beyond the property line. So that was just my list of missing information. There's some minor things, label things. Some things we already brought up, like the curbing needs to be granite. One thing, the town regulations require 20-foot 5 wide aisles in the parking areas. And one of them was 24 feet and one was 22 feet. I didn't know if you were going to request another waiver or change them to 25.
Yeah, I think, trying to jog my memory here, I think we were going to request a waiver from that. Because as you pointed out, it's 24 and 22, and I think just the very, unique shape of this property, it's, we're in addition to the setbacks and so forth, there's some certain hardships there that require kind of a narrower drive aisle. And a waiver will be included. I apologize, wasn't.
Another town regulation is backing out or turning areas are required at dead ends. You've just got a tiny little bump out. If you had a 25-foot aisle, it'd be easier for someone to just back out without much room. Mm-hmm. But if they approve the waiver, you need to make sure you have enough of a bump out for those cars to turn around at the end.
Yeah, and we certainly have room to add more. It's just adding more impervious soil. So we'll look at adding that as well. Just cost benefit of adding more impervious soil.
Right. We were wondering.
We can look at
the office employees and visitors. I know the number of spaces is set, so that's not in question. But how many office employees are there?
There's 6.
6 office employees. Will any of these spaces be dedicated to the office, like
No.
with signs?
We've found that what we've talked about is we might put up some signs right here that says visitor parking from 9 a.m. to 4 p.m. But the second we start assigning spots, it becomes horrible. So what the thought is, tenants are going to go to work during the day, and then the commercial space is going to come in and they can use those spots.
Okay.
Yep.
Yeah, that was more of a question. Is there going to be like signs on the?
Yeah, no, I think it'll be a good complementary use of parking.
Okay. Snow storage. There's not a lot of snow storage there. I just thought a note should be added to the plans to indicate removal off-site if necessary once it's at capacity. Talked about truck turnings. If there's any pads for transformers, generators, HVACs, those should be shown on the plans. It's noted the bike racks are on a grassed landscaped area. I didn't know if that was intended that way or if you wanted the bicycles on like an extension of the sidewalk. Nothing in the regs about that, just a note. If there's going to be a sign, like for the overall building in Horizons, you should show the location of that. Water and sewer services, I just noted we're deferring review until we have more information. Fire hydrant location, I noted coordinate with the fire chief. If there will be underground electrical or natural gas or any other utilities, those should be shown. even if it's subject to change
Yeah,
for,
no natural gas in Newmarket, so.
okay,
You do propane oil.
some towns,
All
okay.
electric.
Let's see, here's some minor things about notes. Construction phasing. So I saw there were notes about, phase 1 versus phase 2. One thing I thought should be addressed in those notes is when the building is under construction, and phase 1 is just the building and the north side of the site. How will stormwater be managed before the underground system and piping, the whole stormwater system is built? If there's going to be a temporary basin constructed, or?
Yeah, no, yeah, that's a good question. So, as you pointed out, the building on the building's going in first, and the parking lot follows that in phase 2. So while the building is going in, luckily the footprint of the building is over a fair bit of existing impervious area. It's kind of hard to see on this, but on our base survey, a lot of that areas, there's like a big gravel pad. So the building is not contributing a significant increase of impervious while it's going in first. But to your point, we can prepare like an erosion control plan and do some temporary BMPs.
Yeah, and with that said, I will do a calculation in-house, but my guess, so there is a shed down here that's impervious that's going to be coming out right away. I bet we are very, very close to keeping pervious the same exact amount during construction. We're happy to rip up, the pavement while we're under construction. One thing, talking with the neighbors when we met with them the other night, is they're happy that this building is staying during construction because it's going to be a buffer for them, so they don't have to deal with noise and just seeing construction.
Okay, I just wanted to make sure that there's somewhere for it to go
Yeah, no.
before the underground is built.
Yeah, I want to piggyback on that too, because that was one of my comments. Some sort of like temporary sediment basin, because during construction, while the impervious surface may be the same, it's very different when it's exposed soils. So
Exactly,
if
yeah.
that shed area the shed's gonna be taken out, and that could be a temporary sediment basin, just making some notes of that stormwater from the construction portion of the site, active construction area, could be directed to that during
Yep.
construction.
Yeah, definitely. Yep, we can make like almost like a dedicated, construction erosion control plan that, just shows that the construction phase items and BMPs, not all the other details, just so it's kind of a clean. And we can also support it with some calculations too, with the impervious area.
Okay. Let's see, some more things about notes. Notes about dewatering, it says you have a perched water table in there. I suggest a safety barrier be added to the corner of the parking that has a 2-to-1 slope. Just something, I'm not saying a guardrail, but some sort of safety barrier.
Is that that last space, is that that last space in the southwest?
Yes,
kind of? Right
yes,
there?
right there, yes. I was gonna say right by the underground basin. There's just a little corner of 2-to-1 slope that starts right at the pavement.
Yeah, I think we have a fence called out.
Okay, oh, that's true. I didn't have the landscaping plan until when I got
Okay.
here, so
Yeah,
maybe
so
it
we have-
already shows it. I don't know.
Yeah, there's a fence that goes.
Oh, yes, okay.
There's a fence that comes all along here, and then it's gonna shoot up this way too. And then I believe there's a fence straight across here to block any light pollution from people pulling in, going out onto these neighbors. And then there's a fence right here as well.
How tall
What-
is the fence?
So there is a 6-foot fence called out. Or it's probably, do you have the landscape in this?
Oh,
Back
this
in?
is, this is right.
Okay. This is a 6-foot vinyl fence right here. I believe it's I think it's a 6-foot all the way.
I think it's the same from what I recall. I don't think there's 2 different.
4 foot high black vinyl coated chain link.
This one? Is it all the way around?
So this is a
This
4
is
foot
four,
with
and this
shrubs.
is 4 foot with no shrubs, you said, here?
Oh, and then
Or this is
Yeah.
6 foot high here?
This is 6 foot, right
Okay,
here. Yep. And then this is,
4 feet,
yep, that goes all the way around.
okay.
Yeah, so the goal with this one is just for light from tenants, so it doesn't go into these backyards right here.
Okay.
And the same with this one right here.
To Allison's point, though, the fence doesn't go around
Around.
that. So some
definitely-
sort of, and I
Yeah.
know it's also snow storage area, but it's a steep slope, so
Yep, no,
bollards or something that can prevent.
Yep.
that's a good idea. We'll add that.
Okay, and then the rest of my comments on the plan set are minor, and I don't need to bring them up now. The stormwater modeling, please provide more information about pollutant removals. I think you had like one sentence in there,
Yeah,
and that was it.
Okay.
Show the flow paths on the subcatchments. I haven't actually really finished looking through the stormwater model yet.
I can add a few
Yes.
preliminary comments on that.
Right, and I was asking for some pipe sizing calcs for some of the discharge pipes. I saw that the test pits weren't super favorable, but at least I did see that where you have the underground infiltration, that test pit was one that didn't have that barrier. Correct? Is that? Can you just, I only had like a few minutes to look at.
oh, it's
it,
okay.
so-
Yeah, I'd have to look at it. Off the top of my head, I can't
Okay.
remember, but,
And I'll look at it more too.
but yeah, we can take a, address that in the report and get, vet that out so we can, provide more information to show that it's adequate.
Okay, and I did see you're proposing a municipal storm connection, so you'll need to request a waiver for that. And that was it for the bigger comments I had. So
Yeah, while we're on
Drainage.
the drainage piece too, the connection to the existing storm drain out there, really need to have some more information on how that's gonna work and
Yeah.
confirming capacity. There's no information about the size of the pipe or anything there. And it looks like, just in quick review of the report, the point of analysis, there probably should be a third point of analysis, being
Yeah.
that connection to the existing storm drain. Because it doesn't actually get routed through the infiltration basin, it's a separate.
It's a separate
yeah.
thing. Yep, exactly.
So while they're both discharging to Moonlight Brook, just
Yep.
separate points of analysis for the site.
Yep.
And, I think my other comments, Allison covered most of that. Yeah, I didn't review in detail, it looked like there were some HydroCAD printouts that were missing from various storms. The 100-year was included, but the 2, 5, 50 were not. I don't know if it was just in the printout in the PDF. There were
In the
just some missing-
HydroCAD printout?
Yeah.
Yeah, perhaps I think we discussed it in the report, but maybe those HydroCAD.
Yeah.
wasn't- Yeah,
It looks like there were some comparisons and some flow pre
Yeah.
and post for those various storms, but the HydroCAD printout didn't have the
Yep.
full.
the whole,
Yeah.
the whole package. Yep, got it.
And a sort of minor comment, but I feel the need to say, the little riprap apron that's shown at the end of that outlet that's going down the stream, there's no information on what the invert of that pipe is to show like how steep that is. You're probably gonna get some significant velocity when you do have the higher flows coming out of that, and that apron is supposed to be running parallel to the pipe discharge, so it doesn't discharge out the side of the riprap.
Yep,
Just maybe a graphical thing.
okay,
in
yeah,
drafting, but just making sure that that represents and actually fits within the property.
okay, yep, we can, provide more details on that and some flow calcs for that discharge point.
Or I got a couple questions on drainage.
Now's an appropriate time if everyone else is set.
Absolutely. Go ahead.
So,
It's same area. My concerns in that corner are, obviously, it was already mentioned that the grading crosses the lot line, but it also appears to go into the pavement of that neighboring property. And presumably the water must flow off that pavement, maybe around the end, and you're kind of blocking that corner, so it may cause water to flow out across that neighboring parking lot. And then as the discharge pipe that they were just discussing, it comes out kind of parallel to the slope. Like, it doesn't seem to me, we don't have enough contour information to know kind of when it breaks down towards the stream over there. Is the water going to come out of the end of that pipe and then flow perpendicular to the slope and right down into the parking lot on that neighboring property, or is it going to continue on to Moonlight Brook?
It's going to continue on to Moonlight Brook, and we can provide some additional detail on that discharge point. I think maybe the drafting, the 2D layout is a little misleading there. And you're right, that we don't have contours showing that area is kind of the limit of our survey, but we can provide some additional info. But basically, it starts going down towards the brook beyond that point. And I guess just last point on that discharge, it's almost like an emergency discharge. It's not. It's only for the higher storm event. I believe just for the 100 year. So it's not something that we'll see water very often. And then to your first point about the driveway, I think that there's some lines on the plan of existing conditions, and I think that might have just been a CAD oversight. But the driveways are on the opposite side. Those are like the backyards, so to speak. It's like just kind of grass landscaping back there.
I believe that's not parking for that.
Multi-unit building there?
No,
it's not. I can show.
Update the plan and make that more clear. So, but I can see how it looks that way.
Yeah, aerial imagery makes it look that way.
This is the plan saying edge of pavement right there. My other drainage question is at the northeast corner of the building. There's another riprap outlet, and it doesn't really say, there's no pipe sizing or what's the source of that pipe that's coming out of the northeast corner of the building?
That's just roof downspout.
Is it a substantial portion of the entire roof wouldn't go out the same outlet and catch into the?
No, I don't believe it's the whole roof. Let me check. We delineated the roof drainage, and we can show that on the updated plan. Basically the stormwater flow directions off the roof and how much of it goes to that downspout. So we can provide additional information on that downspout.
And I only have one other comment actually so far on the entire thing, so I'm just gonna throw it out right now real quick if that's okay, and it's the front entrance on South Main Street.
I'm not sure that the overhang over the entrance there does not encroach into the right-of-way setback, the roadway setback. It's not shown on that plan. I saw it in the architectural plans.
Yeah, we can add the roof overhang to the civil set to verify. I'm not sure off the top of my head, but we can show the overhang on the layout.
I would think they would encroach in both.
At least South Main Street, because probably covers the sidewalk there outside the doorway. Right?
Yes, just clarification.
Yep, definitely.
Eric, any questions on this topic?
Maybe
Let's see.
All right, so this is a little cheap right now. You got any comments so far? Okay, thank you, Eric. So mine may be a little bit, I'm not
sure if this is the appropriate time. The fence that is along the railroad tracks, is that an actual physical barrier that's gonna prevent people from going onto the tracks?
It is, and one thing we were actually talking about at, the other night was adding a couple gates along it. You know, there are two ways to look at it. If there's kids out on the tracks that come from way over here, it's good to have a gate to let them in. On the other hand, it's a source for them to get out there. So we're mixed on it right now. It's something we're talking internally. I don't know if you have one way or the other.
I want to prevent people from trying to access the tracks there.
Right.
I think they're going to.
Okay, yeah, our, like I said, our only concern is, you know, if someone's playing over here and
Right.
kicks a ball, or, you know, they're doing something and have to access over there.
Yeah.
It would almost be going over to Jerry Ave.
Yeah, and I understand that, and,
Yeah.
and currently people cut through there all the time.
Nonstop.
Anytime someone's on the railroad tracks,
Yep.
they're trespassing.
Okay.
So they don't have any right to be out there. So
Yep.
maybe if we made a gate that, in case of emergency, they could get off the tracks, but not access
Right,
the tracks.
yeah, we can look at some gate op, I think it would be good to have one gate, just for if someone is,
Yeah,
you know, just to get
the
back
fact
on.
that you have a fence that's a barrier is,
Yeah.
is going to cover most
Prevent,
of it.
yeah, so we can look at, you know, I know my kids, there's a gate that you can only, I mean, you can reach over it as an
Yeah.
adult, but, you know, it's one prevention.
I mean, ultimately, if they want to, you know, go down,
They're
the
gonna
end
just
around,
jump the
they're going
fence.
to do it.
Yeah.
But if we can, you know, try and persuade them not to, that would be important.
Yeah, and I mean, we're happy to put up, you know, no trespassing signs along the fence, you'll be prosecuted, blah, 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 all that, I mean, does
Yeah.
what it does, but.
All of the parking, is my understanding there's 62 parking spots and they're all going to be on the property?
Correct.
Yeah.
Okay. And the only other concern I have is if you do, probably not Railroad Street, but if you start work out on South Main Street, you should contact us before you block the road or dig it up or anything like that. And,
Definitely.
And discuss.
Yeah, the only real work that should be on South Main Street is this walkway right here.
Yep.
The rest, we actually have a pretty good laid down site to
That's
get
right.
unload in, and it won't be.
I figured, I didn't know if there
Yeah.
was any point where you'd be
Yeah.
digging to connect to anything, but my main concern was the parking and the access to the tracks.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, and if you have any suggestions on this fence, where if you did want to
No,
get,
I mean, I like the idea that you have a fence.
Yeah.
There's nothing there now, so
Yep.
it's open, but you're also
a lot of
bringing.
prickler bushes that prevent.
Yeah. Yeah, plant those.
Yeah.
I think that's, you know, a good idea, probably the best that you're gonna be able to do, you know, so.
I wouldn't be a fan of a gate. If it's not gonna be locked,
I
it'll-
don't do it, okay.
it would, I think it's gonna be a problem.
Okay.
Invitation, yeah.
Make them have to walk around
Right.
and really work
Yeah, I
to
mean,
do
I
it,
do
you
like
know.
the idea that you're putting that walkway to South Main Street, so that might alleviate some of the desire to
Right.
cut through that way.
Yeah.
But.
Yeah, the big, I mean, one of the important, I mean, no problem though, again, gate, it just costs more for us, so, great, but, our thought is, this is all grass area right back here, so if anyone has a dog or something, this is kind of gonna be like your hey, I gotta get my dog out to go to the
Yeah.
bathroom, and this is kind of that area. We don't have it called out, but we're gonna put like a pet thing right there, and then
Yep.
that's where the dumpster is gonna be, so all the pet waste can go right there as well.
Okay, all right.
Yes, thank you, Chief.
Yep.
Abby, any questions?
Just on the dumpster, it's not gonna affect any of the parking, just for tenants?
No,
or
so
just
the
access?
dumpsters we're using, it's not like, what the dumpster company will have to do is come physically pull it out.
Okay.
It's a rolling one, and they'll bring it down into the parking, pick it up,
Okay.
and then move out. It's not like they have to pull in.
Pull in and
and
yes, but-
do a full
okay.
dump one. Yep. And, again, just the neighbors were happier that we were doing those ones because it turns over a lot more,
Mhm.
instead of having a larger dumpster that can get there a little bit longer.
Is the only communal space out back, is there anything internally as well?
There's nothing internally, no.
No, okay, so
No.
that'd be the primary area people would interact outside.
Correct, yeah, and I think, for what the real goal is for this is kind of why we added the door up here, is you're walking distance to downtown. You can walk, it's trying to activate downtown more. So yeah, this is more pet, we might throw a couple picnic tables up there, but the real goal is to continue to activate downtown.
Thank you.
No, I think we covered mine.
Okay, Rick?
I,
All set?
I'm good.
Yeah, Allison, any final thoughts? No? Eric, any final thoughts?
Nope, I'm good.
Great. Jeff?
Bart.
Oh, yes.
Actually, hey Bart?
Yes,
here.
I do have one thing, we didn't really talk about it, but just so they're aware, when I went through the information before the planning board meeting, the traffic traffic study that was done by a company out of Maine, and you're gonna need to make sure that you, New Hampshire PE stamp on that.
So they're also New Hampshire, they just stamped it with the wrong stamp, so they're going to put the New Hampshire stamp on it. Yeah.
Thank you. Great, thank you, Eric. Jeff, any final thoughts?
My only final thought would be that the commercial space is going to be fully usable by the time that they need to tear down that other building. And other than that, I'm all set though. Thanks.
Yeah, what our thought process is with that is to phase the occupancy. So we'll go for a certificate of occupancy for the commercial space. We'll have all life safety in place, and we can start to move over the commercial space during that. And then we will demo once they're in, and it won't disturb the commercial space.
Yeah, so just like an updated sequencing plan.
Yeah, and we can update that. And I think that's going to be the best way. Is we're going to put a lot of our construction time onto that commercial space to get that complete as soon as possible, just so we can phase into the demo of the existing building.
Actually, sorry about that. Is there?
I did not see the variance for that. Is there? Could that be used for almost any commercial use in the future? Like,
yeah, and just to be completely honest, if Horizon just did sign a pretty long-term lease with us, but if they were to ever move out, that would become a fitness room and a communal space.
So the commercial element would go away, it sounds like.
I'd rent the gym to you.
Just another,
Thank you.
if they're working in there while all the rest of the site is getting developed in the underground system, is there enough spaces across the street for all the employees to park?
For while they're working on this space?
Right.
Yeah, no, I mean, we'll be able to do a good amount of, we'll probably have base down.
Okay.
So they can park on base while they're doing it. I mean, if you look at that lot during the day, it is empty.
Right, I actually, just before I came here, I just pulled over there.
Yeah,
to get myself
I mean, you can
visual.
rent spaces there for
There are,
overnight, but during the day,
3 cars in
it is completely empty. And if we do run into parking issues during this, we have a good relationship with this apartment building right here. We can look at leasing spaces during the day for the employees. There's a lot. Parking isn't an issue right around this area during the day. It's kind of nighttime.
Well, sounds like that's it. So I'd like to thank everyone. We'll conclude this review, and we'll have the notes sent to you. As soon as